Our special Veterans Day edition of Cattleman to Cattleman continues from here in Washington, D.C. Joining me now is John Lacey, former NCBA president, and he's taking part in his first honor flight in this event. John, thank you so much for being here and for your service. Tell us a little bit about your military service, please.
Well, when I got out of college and went back to the ranch, my dad was very sick with heart problems. But anyway, he insisted, and he had been a veteran of the First World War, and so I went into the Marine Corps to serve my time. Happened to be during peacetime, between 61 and 67. I served 2 years and 4 years in the reserves in the Marines. I never left the United States. I was very proud to be a Marine. If anybody serves in the Marine Corps, I can guarantee you they'll claim they're proud of it. So that's how I served my service, and I was proud to do that.
So after you returned to the ranch, what were some lessons that you took from your service back to the ranch as you raised cattle there in the central coast of California?
Well, I'd been brought up on the ranch by my dad, who'd been in the service. So the one thing about it that he taught me that helped me in the Marine Corps is to take orders and to follow through and to be broad-minded but know what you were doing and to take part with people and be around people who knew what they were doing and to never go somewhere on someone's ranch or something that you couldn't learn something just as well as you do it or some new idea that they might have that you could adopt.
Sound advice for sure. You obviously took that advice to heart. You served as the president of both the National Cattlemen's Association and then post-merger, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. I think you're the only president that served terms under both organizations. What changes did you see in your time as president with NCA and then NCBA and even today in the industry?
Well, I would say this is considerable. When I first started, my father and my mother were both very active in our national organization. My dad took me to the first convention in San Francisco when I was 13 years old, and I joined the Cattlemen's Association. He joined me in the Cattlemen's Association. So I have a long history of being a member and a supportive person. But I think both the National Cattlemen's Association and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association have purposes. And when they were adopted, they certainly helped the industry be stronger within the busy world of product sales and pleasing the public. We really changed, I think, our minds about how we approached people with new products. And that came about with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association when we followed all the surveys and everything as far as the basic industry of promotion. And that's what really brought us to the front, I think, being competitive with the other meats that were offered to our population.
Probably the only thing that's not going to change is there's always going to be issues for this organization to have a purpose for. We are so honored at NCBA here in the Washington, D.C. office to host this honor flight group. And I know June Kester, we just spoke to her. She is so proud to have you on this group, on this tour. What drew you to be part of this honor flight?
Well, I'll have to say June. June approached me quite some time ago, and I'd heard about it, and I didn't really feel maybe that I should come, just for the simple reason that I wasn't a veteran of foreign wars. But the more I talked to June, the more I thought what an honor it would be just to come back with other veterans. And I feel it was a very privileged kind of a thing, and I'm proud of my service, and I'm proud of all those services prior. And like I said, my father was in the First World War, my uncle was in the Second World War, and they insisted. And when I was young and about that age, the draft was still there. But like I told you, my father insisted that I have my service and learn the things that would further my ability to be helpful and back on the ranch and know how to take orders.
Well, I think that served you well. I know we certainly thank you for your service, not only to the industry, but to our country. And thank you so much for being here with us tonight, John.
Well, it's a privilege. And thank you very much for having me.